Believe it or not, today I am back at the same park, different angle. The weather is much better. Beautiful, in fact. And just like last year, hey guys, I found the painting table. Look at this. Everybody paints here. It's hilarious. I was like, I bet if I looked on the internet, I would find some paintings in this exact spot. And yeah, I'm pretty sure. So today I'm gonna do oil sticks. And I'm gonna use just painting knives. I didn't even bring like a paintbrush or anything. So yeah, and I'm doing it on a 6x8 toned tan panel. So it should be a small painting. Okay, this is where I got to. I got all aggravated. We'll talk about it when we get home. It definitely needs some help, obviously. It's very dark out here though now, so we will talk about this later. Oh man, let's talk about this thing. Oh, God. So, you know, it was going along pretty well until I started having problems with this SOHO. So it got really cold out there. As soon as like the sun started to go down, it went into the 50s, and so I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. And also, like, the light was fluctuating a lot. Like, I kept getting, like, bright sunbeams and then, like, darkness. And so it was hard for me to, like, assess what was going on. But the real problem I ran into was that the oil sticks themselves started to harden up because it was cold. And so I couldn't really, like, spread them properly or mix them properly. And they, like, weren't wanting to adhere properly. And then I ran into problems with this SOHO over here, and it's like the shape is all messed up right now, and I can see that, and it's kind of driving me crazy. And there's just, oh boy, there's a lot I've got to fix here. So I'll tell you what my game plan is, but who knows if that's really what's going to happen. So I'm going to try and reshape our friend the SOHO here. I'm going to try and blend the transitions in these clouds a little bit better. And I might add a little bit more highlight to some of the spots in the clouds. I might kind of like try to, you know, make some of the lines in the actual mountains just a little bit more clear. There's a lot of blobbiness happening on there right now. And then I'm going to finish up these bushes. Everything has a lot of, like, everything that's in the green department doesn't have enough highlight. And part of what I was running into there that I didn't realize was happening was that when you use an oil stick, you have to peel off like the top layer that is dried before you use it. And I didn't realize that I hadn't peeled off all of the top layer on that like yellow. So when I was putting it on there, I was essentially just like sticking some dried paint on there. And so it wasn't blending properly, and it was just kind of a mess. So it's chaotic, but now I can see. So I'm gonna go in there and try and fix that, and try to fix some of the texture with the palette knives. And the nice thing about everything that's kind of oil paint is that you can definitely go in and mess with it for like a while afterward. Okay, let's talk about this. Oh, so I decided to use painting knives on this because I've done it once before with these oil sticks. They are supposed to be water soluble, but I just find that like some of the colors don't blend that well with water. And I don't know if it's because I live in Arizona and it's just like very dry here. And so maybe some of the paint like kind of dries out before I try to take a wet paintbrush to it. I don't know. At one point I got just like really annoyed with that, so I just stopped doing it that way. And I got into doing it with the painting knives, and I really like all of the kind of impasto texture you get with it. I think it's just more fun, to be honest. But I would say that this is not a thing to do if you don't have a lot of time to spend. And today in particular, I did not have a lot of time to spend. I really had just enough time to just kind of like get out there and get going. So part of it too is that when you have these oil sticks, you have to peel off the dry layer every time you need to use like a palette knife or something of that sort to do it. And so imagining having to peel off this dry layer on every single stick that you're going to use, and that's just really aggravating. And it's like fine when you're at home and you have a bunch of time, but not fine when you're out there and you don't. And yeah, and I was also like, it was cold, you're dealing with the weather, it's, so. Now, when I got home, while I was out there, this really cool sunset popped up and lit up the clouds behind the mountain and lit up the mountain and lit up everything in this very cool way for like 10 minutes. And I didn't get a picture of it, but I've seen these sunsets over the Superstitions enough times that I like knew what it was going to look like. So I decided to actually change the scene to look more like it did at the sunset, and I think that's like way better, honestly. I don't feel like this is the most amazing thing ever, but I like it a lot better than I did when I got home. And I kind of think I like the little holes that I put on the sorrel cactus that I made from just like rolling up a little bit of the paint, which is kind of funny. So yeah, I mean, this was a good learning experience for sure. And like I said, it's not the worst, but I probably would do it differently if I had a bunch of time to sit here and think about it and be more strategic about it. So I think tomorrow, I'm most likely going to do something with pens, and that'll be nice. That will be, I think, a little bit more relaxing. So today I am at the canal, and my whole goal is to just draw as many ducks as possible. And hopefully this little dude doesn't scare him away. Duckies. Okay, so I drew a bunch of ducks, a lot of mallards. There's some of the duckos. See, they're cool. And I'll talk about this when I get back home. Okay, let's talk about what we've got here. So I ran into some kind of unforeseen obstacles that were kind of funny. So these are all just ducks that I saw in the water at the canal, and I was just kind of like, it was kind of funny that they'd be like swimming along and I'd be like following them, trying to sketch them. And I kept walking along with them, trying to make sure they didn't get too far away. So most of them are like mallards, and this one I actually bothered to draw the reflection, but not the rest of them, just because I really didn't have time. You have to be really quick with these. And I had fun doing some of the like less traditional angles. So this duck was actually really cool. It was just like a light colored duck with like a little bit of brown in there. So that's why I drew it that way. It does look a little weird with the other ones though, because they all have black outlines. And this one was diving. You can kind of see its legs there. So some of the interesting things I ran into were that a lot of the other drawings I've been doing have been on mixed media paper, and that paper isn't as smooth and the ink sinks into it more. So like on those other papers, I just didn't have problems with it kind of like smearing. But on this one I did. So what I would run into is that like the black wouldn't necessarily have dried all the way, and then I'd try to take like the orange over it and it would kind of like pick up on the orange. So then I'd be trying to go over here and, clean off my nib, and that was aggravating, and I didn't really anticipate that. I also ran into the most problems though with the white pen. So I was using a white jelly roll, which I haven't used one of those in years, I'll tell you, but I decided to get one. And I had forgotten how easily they dry out. So we're out there and there's like a little bit of a breeze and it just kept drying out the entire time. So that was part of the reason I was scribbling all over here trying to make it work again. But the other thing I kept running into is that yet again, due to the smoothness of the paper and the fact that India ink just takes a little bit of time to dry, I kept kind of smearing it in with the black and having to clean it off over here. And so yeah, there were a few moments that were kind of irritating because of that, but I think the ducks are kind of fun. So I definitely had fun following them around. They were like, "What are you doing?" I think this is my favorite kind of like interesting angle that I did. So that was kind of cool. I think that's something I would probably try again because I could kind of draw ducks all day. I love drawing birds. So, and then the other thing I did was that on the way back from our walk, I went ahead and did just a brush pen sketch of the ducks that were all kind of getting ready to go to sleep on the side. So this is the water in the canal and it's like reflecting the trees back. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush pen right now and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of fill in a little bit more of the details and just kind of like give a little more contrast in a few places, but I'm going to keep it really like two-toned. So one of the things that I find when I'm doing these 30-day challenges is that it's really good to find different ways to mix things up. And it's also good to kind of like give yourself a break sometimes because you can just wear yourself out. Like today, I am just, today's a rough day. I don't really feel great. I'm really tired. Like, just, my whole body's kind of fighting me. It doesn't really want to do anything. So I was thinking what I'd do today is I'd take these like little stencils that I made a while back. They're literally just for your sketchbook. I made them by cutting up some boxes. It's kind of funny. So I'm going to take some of these and I'm going to create just like little layouts in here. And this is my Strathmore 400 watercolor visual media journal. So this one is not 100% cotton. This is what I use for practicing. It does have nice thick paper, so that's why I like it. And I'm going to create a layout in here so I can have like little pictures that I do. And then I'm going to use just my Artist Loft watercolor that I use for practice. And I'm going to kind of like just go around at different times today and do like quick little watercolor sketches of things and put them in the different little areas. So I can just kind of do something more casual. I haven't even decided where I'm going to go yet. I think I'll just go to one of the parks. It just kind of depends on how much time I have. And yeah, I'm just going to draw like little things of what I see. Okay, so let's talk about this one. So this was the setup I had. So I'm using water brushes, and when you use water brushes, you have to kind of squeeze out the color to change another color onto a paper towel and kind of clean it off. So I'm going to take that off right now because it will start to seep into the paper underneath, and I can tell it's already doing it. So this was the view, like out my front door. I was just trying to do kind of like a quick, easy warm up. And the painting part of it was fine. I mean, I'm really used to using this little watercolor set, and I'm just kind of familiar with how it behaves. And my only complaint about it is that it behaves like cheap watercolor. You need like a lot of layers to get anything dark and that kind of a thing. But the real problem that I was having was with these dumb water brushes. So what I am discovering about this set I bought, now I tell you, I bought a cheap set off of Amazon of like 12 brushes. but they were like really inexpensive. So I was like, I'm just going to take, you know, the risk. And what I found with these is that some of them are great and some of them are just terrible. So these ones over here both work just fine, do what they're supposed to do. This one is a monstrous nightmare. So when you're using it, it just like, you will dip your paintbrush into a color and then it will suck the color up into the pen, and along with that, suck up like all the water into the pen too. So you're trying to use it and you just have like this dry brush. So then you're like, oh, that's weird, and you dip the paint again, and then what ends up happening is you just get this really, really loaded brush of paint, and all your paint starts sucking up into the actual water of the pen, and you're not getting any actual paint coming out. It just all keeps sucking back up in there. And then when you're trying to get like any kind of paint to happen, it's like dry brushing. So then you squeeze it out and suddenly all this color comes out and it's a nightmare. It's just, ugh. So it took me a while to figure out that like the struggle I was having was actually just being caused by this dumb brush. So this one is going in the evil brush pile over here. I'm just gonna keep it away from everything else. I'm not using that one again. So let's talk about what I drew here, or painted rather, right? So this was the view out my front door. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to start with something simple that I could do without having to go anywhere. And I like the arch. I had a lot of fun with the arch. As you can tell, it was kind of my focus. And then this here is where like the rocks are in the front yard, and that was fine. And this is a neighbor's yard over here with the barrel cactuses, and that's all fine. And then somehow, not sure how, but the whole street and the houses on it got tilted in a funny way. So I guess it looks like I live on a hill. So that was an interesting conundrum there, but that's okay. That was a good start. I might do something for the backyard next. I might wait till I take the dog on a walk. I don't know, we'll see. So I'm gonna paint some of these fun trees I can see from my backyard. And it's just like, it's weird though, because earlier it was at least a little bit sunny, and now there's just clouds popping out everywhere. So it could be interesting. So I've hit the point where I absolutely just am over these water brushes. Ugh, just can't do it today. Even the other one that I'm using now is sucking up like all of my paint, like 99% of it. So it's too annoying. So I'm switching to the regular brushes. I'm gonna use my travel brushes. So, and just like a regular water. So this should be less frustrating now. Hey. Not bad. So after I just went ahead and just switched to like normal paintbrushes, oh God, it was so much better. I'm so over the water brushes. I don't know, man. I've used a lot of different water brushes too, and I just don't really like any of them. So I just get frustrated. I mean, I get it. They're like more convenient, but I think the fact that like the lack of control is just too frustrating for me. So I don't think I'm going to fill up this whole page today. I don't think that's going to happen. I may do like one more though. So we'll see. I like how these palm trees look with the clouds behind them. I may go ahead and paint those. Well, I had fun with that. I feel like I'm definitely getting better at sketching with watercolor, which is cool. And yeah, as usual, I love the trees. Those definitely are like more fun. The challenge I had with this one was that the lighting kept changing over and over again. So I get the idea, like one idea of a set of colors and lighting, and then it would just completely change and it would be all backlit and suddenly I could barely see anything. So that was kind of funny. I think I'm going to continue this one another day. It might be tomorrow, or it might be like Thursday maybe. So yeah, this has been fun.